All right, man, peace. You know, brothers, there's a saying that your blessing can also be your curse if you don't know how to moderate your blessing properly. And that seems to be the case with certain notable figures, especially in the NBA, in regards to Mr. Rajon Rondo, who has found himself becoming a basic pilgrim across the NBA, going from team to team, because oftentimes his brain is a little bit too heavy for most of his teammates to tolerate after a while. We know that Rajon fell out with Doc Rivers in Boston, as well as Ray Allen. We know that he fell out with Dirk Nowitzki and the rest of the team with the Dallas Mavericks, especially the coach, Rick Carlisle. We know that he fell out in Chicago with Dwayne Wade and Jimmy Butler. And now it seems that he fell out with Anthony Davis in New Orleans. Why do I say that? Because I did a video about a month or so ago where Anthony Davis himself seems to imply that the reason why Rajon Rondo and DeMarcus Cousins were not brought back is because he did not put in the legwork to make sure that the front office knew that he wanted them back. And I believe that Rajon Rondo is going to confirm this in this interview right here. So anyway, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
That list, Rajon Rondo is now wearing Laker gold and purple. LeBron James described him as, quote, cerebral earlier today. Here's Rondo.
Well, you know, sometimes people like your brain until they start to disagree with you. Then all of a sudden they start saying things like, sometimes you're too smart for your own good, quote unquote. In other words, now you're starting to say things that I don't like. That's normally what that means. And I do believe that at some point in this up and coming NBA season, that will be the dynamic between LeBron James and Rajon Rondo. But we'll find out.
Rondo with our Sean Powell.
Before we get to the Lakers, what were the factors that led you to leave New Orleans?
Consistency, I believe. You know, as far as, the Lakers showed interest day one. They were the first team to call. And New Orleans didn't call right away.
New Orleans probably didn't call your ass at all. Let's be for real, bro. And there was a hesitation there before Rajon answered. Anthony Davis, I don't think that he wanted you back, bro. Who knows? Maybe he thinks that he's going to reunite with you in LA. I guess we'll find out.
Obviously I thought I proved my worth on what it would be like, but they didn't reach out or show any, a lot of interest versus what the Lakers did.
What were you?
In other words, they did not call you because Anthony Davis did not want you there. And in the process of Anthony Davis possibly being traded to the Lakers, he may stipulate that Rondo no longer be there, or maybe he already knew that he was going to end up with the Lakers, and he said, you know what, just take Rajon. I'm going to head there later. But once again, when you're an Anthony Davis, you're widely considered a soon-to-be top player in the NBA. When I say top, I mean numbers 1 through 3. There are certain people who have him in that top 3 already. I don't, but certain people who do. If you're an Anthony Davis and you go up to your front office and you're 25 years old, because he is the youngest of all the top players in the NBA, or who are considered the top player in the NBA. If you're an Anthony Davis and you go to the New Orleans Pelicans front office and you say, look, you make sure that you bring back Rajon and you make sure that you bring back DeMarcus, those contracts, they get done. That's the bottom line.
What were your initial discussions like with Magic Johnson?
Well, it started 2 years ago. They reached out a couple years back and told me how they loved my game, what I brought to the game. Obviously, Magic having a lot of respect for me as a point guard and vice versa. So opportunity to play under Magic Johnson and him watch you every day and critique you and help you become a better person, a better man on and off the court. So that was also intriguing.
They're asking you to come here and to teach and perform. I would imagine that's an ideal situation for you.
Absolutely. I've done it my whole career. I was blessed to play with a bunch of different teams the last couple of seasons, and I think that's obviously groomed me and helped me become the man I am today and the player I am today as far as mentoring young guys. I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have mentors. So I'm a big believer in mentors and guys showing you the right thing and being great inspiration for each individual guy that he may mentor.
And how much did your experience with Boston, that veteran team, and you came in as a young player, in terms of mentorship, that's rubbed off on you and really stayed with you pretty much?
Absolutely. I think everything in life is happening for a reason. I was putting this.
I agree with you, sir. Everything in life does happen for a reason. It's just a matter of whether or not the Most High gives you the clarity of insight and the clarity of perception to be able to discern what's the reason for such and such thing happening in your life. There's no doubt about that. And I agree with Rajon as well. I think that he does make a great mentor because he clearly is not someone who's trying to hold on to stardom. He's on the other side of the mountain in regards to his career. I'm not quite sure how old he is. I'm going to guess around 32 or 33. But he knows he has probably about 2 or 3 years left where teams are going to be asking for his services. After that, he'll probably go into assistant coaching duties on some team, and then maybe even a head coach eventually. And I think that's why he oftentimes clashes with many of these head coaches, because he feels like he knows more than the coach does. He clashed with Doc Rivers. He clashed with Rick Carlisle. Those are two coaches who are viewed to be two of the more erudite coaches in the NBA, at least allegedly. I don't foresee him having these problems with Luke Walton, because I think that Luke is going to be a relatively hands-off coach. He's going to let Rajon and LeBron do more of the hands-on coaching, at least if he's intelligent enough to understand that.
I was put in that situation for a reason, and obviously look here 13 years later, playing with such a young team, along with a bunch of great vets, great vets as well. So I played, Keon Dillon was my mentor, Marquise Daniels, Kevin Garnett, P.J. Brown, and I can go on and on about the great veterans I played with, and those guys were always very welcoming and understanding that they were teaching me how to become a man and teaching me how to be a pro.
Speaking of the young crew, let's talk about the young crew here. What are your initial impressions with Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, the rest?
They're sponges. They're already coming up to myself, LeBron, Mike, and asking us a bunch of questions. What most impressed me, I'll say Kuz. Kuz wanted to watch film with me the first day he met me. So that was very humbling for a young guy with that talent to come up and say, hey, can you teach me a couple of things? And
well, I don't think that Kuzma is good enough to try to big time you, Rajon. Of course, he's going to ask you a bunch of questions. He's still on the come up. He's trying to see how good he can be. And at the end of the day, I'm not quite sold on Kuzma quite yet. He's going to be a second stringer. The best thing that those young kids can do is play defense. And when I say the best thing, I mean that's what their mind should be focused on. I remember in one of Kobe's little vignettes that he did for ESPN, he was stating that what many of the newer NBA players should do, what the rookies should be focused on, is their defense. And then he did a breakdown of Scottie Pippen and showed you the elite level defense that Scottie Pippen played. And I think that that's the best thing that a young player can do when he's trying to find his way in the NBA. That's what Kuzma should be focused on, because the offense is already there. But if they know that he can come in off the bench, give them 25 minutes a game, 30 minutes a game of good offense and hard-nosed defense, that's going to build up trust in regards to LeBron and Luke Walton. Because we already know LeBron don't want to play defense. So if you're coming off the bench playing defense, LeBron's going to say, you know what, I want that guy to be in the lineup with me.
And we got in the lab and we worked, and what's even more impressive is that he texted me that night and was like, he showed me a clip of film that we played pickup on, and he told me, obviously this is what you were talking about, and he obviously got it. He's a quick learner, and he's a sponge.
Lonzo Ball in particular, because you guys play the same position and you have similar games, how good can he be?
Well, I think he definitely could be better than me,
That's saying a lot, bro. Once again, at one point, you were considered the best point guard in the NBA before you tore your knee up.
I was a 4-time All-Star, I'm champion, so obviously if he's going to be able to get those accomplishments under his belt, but most importantly, just try to understand, winning is the most important factor. And the way he plays the game very unselfishly, I think he understands that winning is important.
It was almost like yesterday when you had those intense battles with LeBron James. Of course, that's history now. Your teammates, how close have the two of you gotten?
We've got pretty close, but obviously time.
For now, y'all are close. He says, we've gotten pretty close. Yeah, for now, everybody's close in preseason. Y'all ain't played no games yet. Wait till after about the 30-game mark when LeBron is pouting and sending all types of Snapchat messages and Facebook messages and Twitter messages and all this other silly shit. You gonna walk in the locker room and be like, hey, Bron, why you acting like a bitch?
Time, is going to continue to get our relationship a lot closer. So, we've chopped up on the phone a little bit. We talk basketball on the court every once in a while, but for the most part, each day in practice, we're going to spend more time together than we do with our families. So, we're going to learn each other. We're going to understand each other and understand that we all have one common goal and try to instill this in the young guys.
Yeah, you're going to come into the locker room one day, you're going to be like, hey, Bron, I took these tampons out of my wife's medicine cabinet because you've been bleeding a lot lately, nigga. How long you gonna keep sending out these little subliminals? Stop acting like a bitch.
One of the things he said today at Media Day is how he thought that you were one of the smartest players he's ever been around. Number one, how do you take that compliment? And number two, what do you think about his basketball intelligence?
It's very humbling, to come from arguably the best player that ever played the game, with that type of...
Rajon, why you lying for? Now, I know that you're on the man's team right now. You have to say certain things to make sure that you ingratiate yourself with the dude. Why are you going to say arguably the best player ever? You know damn well he's not the best player ever.
That type of IQ, what he brings to the game, what he brings off the court, any way you want to look at it, it's very impressive. And he's obviously set the blueprint on how things are supposed to be done. So I'm excited. I haven't been excited to play with a player in this long time. Obviously, I played with a great young player, Anthony Davis, last year, who's obviously MVP caliber type of player. But LeBron James is, the best player in the world by far. And
he's the best player in the world, but not by far.
If I can learn as much as I can from him, that's what I'm pretty much excited about. And obviously...
Oh, stop lying, bro. You know damn well you ain't looking to learn nothing from LeBron. You're just trying to get a last couple of good paychecks and, go off into the sunset and be an assistant coach somewhere, hopefully.
And obviously, my job and what I take pride in is that I've always played with great players. I played with the big three. I played with, AD. I played with Dirk. And what I pride myself on is mostly is making those guys' job a lot easier.
Brother, stop lying. You played with Dirk for a hot second, and nobody on that team liked you.
And I don't think LeBron has ever pretty much had that as far as I'm able to think the game for him. You don't have to think as much. I can make things simpler.
Right, but you know what? That's where the conundrum is going to exist, Rajon. That's where the contention is going to start. Because you're going to try to make the game easier for him, and what you're quickly going to come to understand is that LeBron does not like the game to be easy. He likes it to be hard. And he wants it to be all on him. So that if he's able to conquer this hardship that he himself has concocted, he'll look like a hero. If he fails at conquering the hardship, then he can say, look at all this stuff I have to deal with. You're going to realize that early on, Rajon. He's not going to want you to make things easier. Because when Rajon says, I want to make things easier for LeBron, he means I'm going to handle the decision-making on the offense. That's not what LeBron is going to want.
And make him, keep him happy.
Now, LeBron has been used to having the ball in his hands. I don't know if challenge is the right word, but what can you say when both you are on the court at the same time? I imagine you think it's a good thing.
It's definitely a good thing. All eyes won't be on one particular ball handler. The ball gets swung on the other side of the floor. The other guys will be able to make the play. So, not just myself and LeBron. You got BI, you got Ball making plays as well.
It's going to be very interesting to see if the Lakers get off to a very good start, and LeBron James is only averaging about 22 points a game, 5 or 6 assists, 5 or 6 rebounds. What he does, because he's truly going to be in a pickle. He's going to be like, damn, we're playing very well, but I'm not getting my touches because this nigga Rajon got the ball in his hands all the time. So what do I do?
It'll be fun to see. We're going to make adjustments. We're going to adapt, but most importantly, we're going to sacrifice for each other. And like I said, understand for this one common goal.
Well, brother, that one common goal is what? Because according to LeBron James, the objective this season is not to win a championship. So what is the common goal?
Played very well in the playoffs last year for the Pelicans. They finally got past a round. Where would you say your game is right now?
My game is in pretty good tip-top shape. I think I'm learning each year. I'm growing each year and getting better as a player. So, people think I'm 40, but I'm only 32. But obviously, coming in the game at 20 years old, you put some miles on it. But for the most part, I've taken a great job, taking great care of my body, and like I said, I'm just looking to be a part of something great here.
Well, the reason why people think that you're 40 is because of how you speak and how you conduct yourself. You conduct yourself in a very stately manner. So it's not so much that you look old, it's just that the way you conduct yourself is in a very mature, dignified way, for the most part.
How good can this team be this year?
I got one goal, and if it doesn't happen, then, I'll have to look myself in the mirror and figure out why that didn't happen. But expectations are really high for me and this team, and the same thing should go across the board with every guy in our locker room.
Sounds like that's where the contention is going to start. Because I cannot imagine his expectation being anything other than winning a championship. So, if and when he finds out that LeBron James stated that the goal is not always just to win a championship, I think that is where the issue is going to start. But we'll find out. We'll see. Rajon Rondo, wear your helmet, brother. Peace.